Hi everyone, welcome to this Study in Sweden live stream. My name is Safi and I will be facilitating today's live stream, and we have a lot of interesting content planned for you. Today's live stream will be focusing on the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals. We'll take you through who can apply, how to apply, and what to think of when you prepare your application. We have also brought three scholars with us who's going to share their experience of applying, how life is in Sweden right now, and some good advice for all of you back at home planning to apply for the scholarship this year. All right, I'm really happy to have all of you here. We're going to start off with a presentation about the scholarship, just to get you acquainted with it if you don't already know. And there it is. Great. So the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals, or the SI Scholarship, SISGP. In Sweden, we say a loved child has many names. So also does our scholarship program. Let's take a look at who's actually eligible to apply. So the SI Scholarship is available for citizens from 40 countries, and for a bit over 40 countries, and it's spread all over the world. You can see the countries here. Perhaps you've managed to find your own. If not, we really do advise that you go to the Study in Sweden webpage at www.studyinsweden.se and have a look at the scholarship database that is there for studies in Sweden. So if you don't find your country here, that's also a great alternative to find other means to finance your studies. But if you are a citizen of one of these countries, then that's great. Stay tuned, listen to more about the scholarship and how you can apply. The SI Scholarship for Global Professionals is a scholarship for master studies for 1 or 2 year programs in Sweden. And it's for studies that start in the autumn semester. So this year, at the end of this week, we'll actually launch the application process for this year's SI scholars and those who are planning to start their studies in autumn. All the programs are taught in English. There are about 650 to 750 master's programs that are eligible for these scholarships, and it ranges from engineering topics to public health to science and so on. It's very broad. And if you haven't had a look at our website, sis.se/scholarships, you'll be able to find the list of all the eligible programs. And this is for those of you who are considering applying maybe for another year. There are 30 universities across Sweden that all qualify and are a part of this scholarship program, and that you can also apply to. So have a look for that. In order to apply for the scholarship, you have to have had applied for Swedish studies, so for studies at master level in Sweden. For the autumn semester, this admissions closed at the 16th of January already. So if you didn't have the time to apply for this round, there's also an opportunity next year to apply. But if you did, then that's great. Then you really do qualify to apply for our scholarship, the SI Scholarship. And we provide around 300 scholarships every year. And what it does cover is tuition fees, which is paid directly to Swedish universities. So all your tuition fees for a 1 year master or a 2 year master is covered by the scholarship. You also get a monthly allowance or living expense for 11,000 crowns per month. That is approximately how much Swedish students receive from the state. So it's an allowance that will allow you to pay for your rent, be able to cover your food and other expenses. So it's quite good. You also receive a travel grant of 10 to 15,000, depending on where you're from. You're able to see the calculation of this as well on our website. So this travel grant is a way to help you come to Sweden once it's time for you to start. And through the scholarship, you're also provided an insurance against illnesses and accidents should that occur. And you have membership in some great networks that we provide for you. One of them is the SI Network for Global Professionals that support you throughout your time here in Sweden to grow professionally and build your network while you're here. And it's an opportunity for you to network with other scholarship holders, both from your country and from abroad or other countries. And it's an opportunity for you to network with Swedish businesses and organizations to get to know how things within your field are implemented in Sweden. So it's a great opportunity to really grow professionally and personally. You also receive a membership of the SI Alumni Network after your scholarship period. And this is a platform for you to continue networking and further your professional development when you're back at home. So it's an opportunity to engage with other from your nationality who've been to Sweden but are now studying, or they're moved back home and they're working. And you might want to meet up and network and reminisce about the times that you had here, or find career opportunities or other activities. So we provide quite a lot through this scholarship. It's a very attractive one and receive around 8,000 applications every year. So it's very competitive, but it's a great group that makes it every year. And we're happy to see who will be the group for this year. So the scholarship is targeted to a special group of individuals. The aim of the scholarship is, of course, to develop future global leaders and professionals who want to contribute to positive change in their countries. So the scholarship focuses quite a lot on the UN 2030 agenda and sustainable development goals, and how those who receive the scholarship are able to implement change within these different strategies in their home countries. So we are looking for candidates who have a very strong and relevant professional background that are linked to one of the topics of the UN agenda or sustainable development goals. We look for candidates who are able to demonstrate some leadership experience, either from employment or from volunteer engagement. So having had that experience of being a leader, leading a process, a team, or otherwise. We look for those who are ambitious and have potential to bring positive social change. So we want to see in your motivation that this is where you're heading. And we also look for those who might have involvement in civil society or NGO sector in one way or another, and who can bring this dimension as well. We're also looking for candidates who have networking skills, who are active in relevant platforms. But most of all, it's important for us to see that the study program that you apply for contribute to the UN development goals in one way or another, and what your idea is for how this study program can help you bring about change or reach your own ambitions. So these are the important things that we look at when we look at the candidates. And all of this can be found on our website as well, si.se/scholarships. Who can apply then? So either you hold a citizenship in one of the 41 eligible countries that we showed at the beginning of this presentation. If you just joined in, you can see that on our website. We have a list of the eligible countries. We want to see that the candidate have at least 3,000 hours of work experience. It's a little bit over 1.5 years of work experience. As mentioned before, that you're able to demonstrate some leadership experience as well, whether it be through your employment or to your voluntary activities. You have to be an international fee payer. So you have to not have dual citizenship in a country on the DAC list or ODA recipients. If you're unsure if your country is one of them, we do have a list so that you can easily check that. But being an international fee payer in Sweden also means that you're coming from outside of the EU and EEA countries. You have to be admitted to and to be eligible for a master's program on time. So if you've applied for Swedish master studies this autumn, and you are admitted on the 30th of March, which is this year's date for 2023, then we are taking your application into account. But if you're admitted later or you are on a reserve list, we're unfortunately not able to have a look at the application because of deadlines and a lot of other logistical parts that need to come together. You should not have previously lived in Sweden for more than 2 years, and you should not be currently enrolled in a master's program at a Swedish university, because then we believe you've had the opportunity to study here in Sweden. And you should not have previously been awarded an SI scholarship, of course. We want to give the opportunity to those who haven't had an SI scholarship or who already hold a degree from a Swedish university to come here and to study and to learn from that. So here's the process, and I know some of you have already gone through bits of this, but if you want to apply for a master's program in Sweden, you have to apply through universityadmissions.se. As I mentioned, they open admissions around October every year and close them in beginning or mid-January. So for this autumn, it's already closed, unfortunately, but you're of course welcome to apply next year. You also have to send the required documents and pay the application fee on time to university admissions. They have detailed the whole process on their page, so you're able to see everything there. And to apply for our scholarship, you need to prepare some required documents and to scan them. One is the proof of work and leadership experience form, where you document your leadership experience and your proof of work. We also require you to have 2 letters of references from your work, a CV as well to be filled in, and a copy of your passport. And we do have templates, specific templates for these documents that we require you to use when you do apply. So do have a look at our website where all of these templates are updated and where you can just download it and receive all the instructions for how to fill them in. And then on the 10th of February, we do open the scholarship application portals. You'll be able to upload these documents to fill in your motivation letters and answer the questions that we have there in the portal. And for this, you have until the 28th of February. So around 18 days to fill in the application portal. But we do know that it takes a bit of time to prepare your SISGP or SI scholarship application with the proof of work and the letter of references and so on. So we do encourage you to already start filling in these templates in advance. We upload these usually in December already. So if you're curious, they're on our website. So that you don't sit there with the last 2 weeks running around and trying to gather signatures, because we know it can be stressful. But yeah, so have a look at our website for that. The results will then be announced on the 27th of April of who will be the scholarship holders for this year. So we're looking forward to that as well. All right, thank you so much. If you have any questions, as mentioned, please do have a look at our website for more information. We also have an FAQ there that you can reach out, read through and reach out to us through a contact form if that's needed. We're active on Facebook as well, so you can join our Facebook page. And yeah, we're hoping to have as many of you as possible applying this year, that you're eager to apply and that you're motivated to it as well. So enough of that. All right, so we are going to bring in some scholarship holders that I've invited to share a bit more about their experience, how it has been applying for their scholarship application, and what life is like in Sweden, what you can actually expect. So I'm inviting in Nozinhle to join us. Hi, Nozi.
Hi, Sophie. Hi, everyone.
Let's see, we also have Hernando here.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Hernando. And Haneen has also joined us.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Haneen. Great. That's fantastic. I'm so happy to have you all here. I think you're going to bring in some really interesting perspectives for our watchers today. So how about we just take a round? You can tell us a bit about yourself. What did you do about before the scholarship, before coming to Sweden and before your scholarship, and how come you decided to pursue this? So perhaps Nosy, you can start.
All right, that's fine. So I'm Nozinhle, and I'm originally from Zimbabwe, currently doing a master's in robotics and automation at University West. So before coming to Sweden, I was working as an engineer in the manufacturing sector, and I'd already completed my bachelor's. And then I worked for a couple of years, and then after that, that's when I moved to Sweden to continue with the master's that I'm currently doing.
All right, that's very nice. Hernando, what were you up to before joining Sweden?
Well, my name is Hernando Soto. I'm from Colombia, South America. I was working as a deputy head in a secondary school. My master's degree currently is on education, international education in Stockholm University. So I was doing some leadership work there and also teaching in an international school.
All right, super interesting. That's good. We're going to dig more into your experiences here as well.
Sure.
Haneen, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, hi, Sophie. Hi, everyone. Jordan. I'm doing my master's first year student in sustainable development university. Before coming to Sweden, I used to work in the development democracy with international organizations, European organization that.
All right, great. And Haneen, what was your motivation to study abroad, and like how come you chose Sweden of all places?
Yeah, so in practitioner, we have like the silo issue where the projects on academia. So I felt that I have this responsibility to bridge that gap between academia and the project that I'm doing on the ground in Jordan. That's why I wanted this international. Also, I had the opportunity to choose or to apply for different countries but I insisted to go for Sweden because I know that is the Swedish Institute like to handle and fund our scholarship, and there is much more to do than what the Swedish Institute, and that is growing me at personal and professional level, and also because I worked for the I had a sort of exposure to how Swedes and the culture is, and love the people. Swedes are one of my favorite. There's some sort of stereotype about them, and I don't think that. So that was like the biggest motivation.
All right, that's great. I hear your microphone is breaking just a little bit. I don't know if you have some headphones or something. Maybe we can hear you a bit better.
Yeah, I'll check if I have. I'm not sure if I have one.
Yeah. No worries. Otherwise, now I hear you perfectly fine. So I guess it's coming and going. Great. No worries. Otherwise, Hernando, what was your motivation to study in Sweden?
I'm 39, and I have a family with me here in Sweden. For me, it was like a family choice. It wasn't only me. I was trying to look for a nice place for the family to have an international experience, and at the same time, a good program to be involved in. So Sweden came up as a good option. I mean, we all from outside recognize Sweden and the Nordic countries as a good place for having families. In fact, there's some issues with population. So being here for families, it's been like a good choice for us. We decided to come with my wife. She's a preschool teacher. She's currently working half-time in an international school. And my daughter is 7, so she's enrolled since the beginning, August 2021, in a public school in Sweden. She's already speaking Swedish. She's already, I think, adapted to the culture, as well as us. So it was like a family choice. We decided together to bring this experience to our life, and that was because that was why Sweden came out as a good option.
Yeah, that's super interesting because many scholars do come with children or family to study here, because we have scholars in all ages, you know, from 7 to 45. So it's really, really broad. But it's also interesting to hear from you that was a choice for you and your family to come here. Yeah, that's great. Why did you choose Sweden, Nosy?
So I had a friend who studied at my school who moved to Sweden to pursue her studies here, and I think that was the first time that I actually thought, oh, maybe I should look into Sweden. That was like the first time that I had any interaction whatsoever with like higher studies in Sweden. But then when I was now doing my research, because I was looking to advance my studies, and then I started researching more, and then I realized just how well the country is doing, like in terms of innovation, in terms of how the industry is growing, in terms of all these technological advancements that are happening. I didn't even know that it was like the home of all these big multinational companies like Ericsson, Volvo, SKF. And when I was doing my research, it just became like, oh wow, this is a great country that I can go to and learn a lot from, because as an engineer, I was very motivated to be in a space where I feel that I will have a lot of exposure to innovation and that sort of thing. So I was like, okay, I think this is worth a shot because of all the positives that I was seeing in line with what I wanted to do.
That's great. Did you have any like strategy in mind, or did your friend tell you about a strategy for like, how to apply for the SI scholarship in the best way?
I think the biggest advice that she gave me was that I should not overlook any part of the application process. Because one of the things that she said was like, sometimes people tend to focus on maybe, let's say, the motivation letter only, and then they forget about CV or putting as much effort with the references and all. So she was like, if you really want to come here, you need to make sure that you put in as much effort on every aspect of the application, from the application that you fill online to every document that you have to submit, your CV, everything. You have to give it your best shot, because the competition is very high and the chances of you getting it are very slim. So you want to make sure that you give it your best shot. And I think that was the most important for me, because sometimes it's easy to say, oh, let me write a stellar motivation letter, and then you kind of overlook all the other aspects. But it has to be a wholesome application which covers everything and you represent yourself as best on all aspects.
Yeah. Haneen, did you have any way of working through the application?
Yeah, I think you have to. Oh, sorry, it was for me. Haneen.
Sorry, for Haneen.
Sorry. I will comment later.
Can you hear me well now, or?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I didn't have like a mind. I was like, I want my application to be as consistent and harmonized as possible. Documents in the application, we had the work experience, the leadership experience, the motivational reference letters. So I made sure that all of these documents align. So whenever the team look at my application, they know that I put the effort, and they know that I is consistent with one another, and I don't cause any confusion to the person that is reviewing my application to be rejected or turned down. So consistency and harmony, work sure that my referees are informed ahead of time so I don't get through this hassle confusion that I need to remind them, so they already had going to send them my reference letter so they can fill it out and sign it. Prepare ahead of time, because I remember last year this time I was already kind of done with most of my application.
I think that's a very good advice to like really start, because it's not only you putting together the application, right? You're dependent on other people to sign letters and put stamps and so on. So it's really good to be out in advance. Yeah. Hernando, what was your experience? Did you have any strategy?
I want to echo that last comment. Time is key. I applied for the cohort of 2018, and I didn't get it. So I reapplied in 2021, and I was selected. And I think part of the process during those 3 years was just to build stronger profile, and just to find, of course, no feedback was given by that time by SI, but you can be self-critical, and you can probably see which were those gaps that you couldn't fill in your application. So I worked hard on just fill those gaps. In my case, I think it was a matter of being more cautious with like the alignment between the CV and also the leadership experience. Also, I think I was lacking on some leadership experience, and my profile got stronger with these 3 last years of leadership. So that was key. And I think I don't want to make it like a spiritual comment or anything, but I think life just is aligning in a moment. And for us, wasn't the time in 2018; it was the time in 2021. And in my case, I think just establish and plan the whole project as a family project was important, because you're not moving only yourself, you're moving with 2 others. So you have to take care of them as well, and try to find within the environment what would they be doing when you move finally to your adventure. So I think being on time, just fill the gaps in your profile, and time. It's also related with that you are not the only one that it's called to your admission process, to your application process, sorry, because you have to engage conversations with referees, and you have to work on the documentation with enough time ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a really good. I think that's a story we see in many applicants as well, that maybe they applied 1 year when they thought they were ready for it, but didn't make it, but then went back and got more experience, and yeah, it made their application stronger. It made it application stronger, yeah. So that's also interesting to hear that you've gone through this journey as well. Was there anything in particular that you found like difficult in the application process? Now it's been
case,
almost 2 years.
Yeah, no, but I remember what was tricky. It was very, very complicated to get some of the references from one of the leadership positions I hold it as a volunteer. I got easily the job experience related to leadership, but I wanted to make it clear that that my journey was also touching based on volunteering, and that was an NGO that was in a different city. So just recontact them and trying to make them understand what kind of documentation I wanted, and the specific like requirements of that form. And it was tricky. It was tricky. I remember I the first time they sent it was without the stamp. So just asking them for the stamp, you feel awful because well, yeah, it's too long to explain, but you feel awful because you have to ask them to repeat all over the process, and they feel kind of pushed. So you have to be quite empathetic, but also pushy, and that's part of the deal.
Yeah, yeah. Haneen, you just applied last year because you started now in the autumn. What was the thing you found most like difficult with the application process?
I echo the stamping and signature challenge. The specific challenge was like a nightmare or like a true hiccup, but my concern was because I held different positions and roles. So there is a wording and role limits, and I cannot list all of my networking, volunteering, work experience and relevant. So my application doesn't look messy, and also how experience because the application asks us to put the leaders, but I managed that by going back to the landing page of the Swedish Institute website, instructions carefully and thoroughly, and this is how I managed to put the most relevant experience in the appropriate way.
Yeah, I think that's a great solution because when you first come into the scholarship page, it looks like it's a lot to read through, right? But when you sit down and you take it step by step, template by template, it's a bit easier to digest, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So that's a good advice as well for those preparing their application now. Like if you have thoughts about which experience should I put where and when, and should I put this forward or that forward, go in, read the instructions again, read the template again. I'm sure you'll be masters of this application process by the end of it. But at least you see what kind of priorities might be put in there, and because we do write out everything that we will be looking at, and if we have any preference in any case, that's also written in the instructions there. So, but that's great. All right, but you all made it. Finally, you all made it in the end. Some of you are almost graduating, so you've experienced Sweden a bit. Haneen, you just started, so you just moved here in September. What was your first experience of Sweden?
Yeah, so I've been because I used to work for a Swedish organization, and with the Swedish alumni for the Swedish Institute Leadership or Leader Lab program, get me the exposure about the country. But in Uppsala, I remember when I first were called, I didn't stock up on good winter collection, so that was like a mistake. I love how quiet and comfortable the commuting here, whether in Uppsala or in Stockholm, and for elegant people here in Sweden.
Yeah, well, that's great. What was your first impression, Nozinhle? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I do. I think my first few weeks, it was a bit weird because it was just towards the end of autumn and you'd have a lot of sun outside, but then when you go outside, it's actually really chilly. So that used to get me really confused. I was like trying to get the right clothes, and also it used to rain quite a lot. So it was a bit weird, and I had to sort of like learn my way on how to get dressed and how to find the right clothes for the weather. But what probably also shocked me the most was like how people are so free and so informal. So the education system back home, you have to like address your professors in a very formal manner, ma'am, sir, that sort of type of addressing a person. But then in Sweden, people call each other by their first names, like even the professors, literally everybody. And for me, that was a bit of a culture shock because it wasn't something that I was used to. It was very different from home. So that was one of the things that for me was like one of the differences that stood out quite easily when I moved here.
Yeah. Many do point out that it's difficult at first calling the professors by their first names, so sometimes they put sir first name, just as a way to like thread carefully into this section. But yeah, the Swedish education system is quite informal in that way, that you have quite a close connection to your professors, and you can speak with them in this manner. Hernando, perhaps you can tell us about like your studies. What does a normal day look like?
Well, it depends. I started 2 years ago, and we came like at the end of the pandemic. I mean, the pandemic is not over, but that was kind of my first shock here, and it was the different way Swedes were treating and behaving in a pandemic, and that reflects pretty much on these studies in a normal day. I remember like back 1 year ago, probably that a week probably was 15 hours studying. My master's doesn't have like parallel subjects, so I'm just very focused on just one topic, one subject, one course. And I remember to go probably 3 or 4 hours to the university, probably 3 days a week. And then it's independent study. One of the characteristics that goes along with the informality in the relationships is the independence. You should be very independent here when you study in Sweden. There's no teachers or lecturers or professors telling you what to do. They just set up very clear standards of what they want and dates, deadlines, and you just work yourself. Of course, if you need any help, you can always ask. But the relationship with knowledge is quite independent, and it's something that I like. It's something that probably after some years of experience working, you enjoy. You enjoy to be like in your own shelf, thinking, reading, writing. But also when we were in the university together or through Zoom, discussions were the main point. And I think I value also that again, the classroom is very social. And in my case, the assignments were very independent. So those two different angles to learning, I value that approach.
That's great. Yeah, that's something I think that also stands out a bit in quite some projects that you work in assignments. You might have quite some time to, for individually taking the responsibility of your studies and what you have to deliver and so on. So yeah. Nozinhle, perhaps I can ask you this one. How has, for you studying engineering, right?
Yes.
How has the exposure to like business life or organizations within the city that you study, how has that been?
I think for me, it has been great in the sense that we've had a lot of contact with industry. So, for example, this year alone, I had a course where we were basically trying to design an automation systems, and that would give us projects that we could work on. And those projects were not just like random tasks; they were actually projects that were like sampled from our industrial partners, where a company says, "Oh, we have this task that we would like someone to look into," and then you use that as part of the course material that you complete. So it's actually a project that is company based. And right now I just started on my thesis and I'm also doing it with the company. So ever since I started, I feel like I've had a lot of interaction with like the industry, and you get to network as well, learn what companies are working towards, see what skills are actually relevant, and also get a bit of a picture of what you can expect to be doing, or if you decide to like maybe let's say get some experience here, or just to gain more exposure of what's actually happening, because technology is moving so very fast and it's always good to see how companies are progressing. So I would say there has been a lot of contact with industry, and that was probably like one of the biggest highlights of my studying here in Sweden.
That's great. That's really great to hear. Have any of you had opportunity to be engaged with the Network for Global Professionals, the SI network?
I do, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. So my experience with the local network, so I made sure that when I come here, that I diversify educational-wise, but volunteering and being exposed in general in Sweden, and that's why I decided to the local network at my university, and I got selected, and now I'm doing the communication part and the board of the local media application, taking photos and videos of the different events that we make. So I really encourage everyone to be active in Sweden, to be active in these networks. It gives you the possibilities, and it also gives you important exposure about how your professional future might look like. Because, for example, last week we went to this prestigious museum in Stockholm, Nobel Prize Museum. It was very insightful for the scholars. This month there will be we will have an event also to one of the offices. So scholars can be already in their career from early on when joining this network.
Yeah, that's a great point of view, really. And I think that's also a great offer for scholars to like network with each other, but also organize activities that are within your study field or your interest.
Yeah. We got the chance to meet new and people through this engagement. So it's highly beneficial and rewarding at different.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. All right, we're almost coming to the close of this live stream. I've seen that many are asking in the comments whether this is recorded. Yes, it is. You'll be able to find it on Facebook and on YouTube afterwards, so you can watch it back or share with others. And we'll also make sure to go through the comments and answer your questions as best as we can here afterwards. Let's see, do we have any final word of advice for those who are, sitting there waiting for the application portal to open? Do you have any word of advice for them? Who feels like starting?
I can go.
Yeah.
So first, I wish them all the best, and alignment is key for your application. Give it a second eye. If you have someone who can review and that would be of great help. If you manage to make don't accommodation part, because some universities can be very helpful and give internationally to choose like a housing offer. So make sure that you don't miss the deadline. Accommodation challenging when you come here to Sweden, and winter collection from back home.
All right.
Good luck.
So good advice. Give, if you can, get a second eye view on your application. Absolutely. Accommodation as well. Some universities offer that. So once you get admitted, go ahead and start looking for accommodation, because we know in many cities like Uppsala, where you study, Haneen, it can be challenging to find accommodation sometimes, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. That's great advice. Let's see, Hernando, do you have any final advice?
Yeah, I think I will be pushing for the same angles I'm trying to represent, which is migrating with families. So if you are migrating with families, be aware of the rest of your family members. Try to map the context, the Swedish context, or the city that you are planning to live in. So you really know, for example, what schools are around, what kind of schools, in fact, Swedish society offers for immigrants. I'm an educator, so that was key for me to select, because I was very interested in having my daughter in a safe and nice place. So that's also important. I need to say also that almost all public schools in Sweden are good quality. You will find something that is not really good. You will find good, but then if you are trying to also see where to live, then you can start to look and map the schools that are around the places you are intended to live. finding accommodation for a family is also tricky. And it could be quite expensive. In my case, I was saving money for the rest of my family because, of course, what SI provides is good enough for one, but not for three in my case. So my project required us to save for the rest of us for the 2 years. So that's also important to plan ahead. Or probably find other scholarships. In the case of Colombia, Colfuturo is one of these options. So if there's Colombians over there, probably if you check Colfuturo, it matches well with the timing because Colfuturo is in May, so you can even work towards that scholarship later and not push everything at the same time. That would be, I think.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that you said map the cities that you're hoping to study in. So you have the university pages, which I guess all of you end up on, but then the municipality or the commune, as we call it in Sweden, also have pages, usually an English section where you can read more about, public school, different initiatives for families and so on. So that's also a great help to have a look at.
Just responding to one of the comments, I think Sweden is at this moment, and I'm just quoting some Swedish friends responding to this. Swedish society is really made for families. I mean, the whole city is made for families. At least I have found that there's parks everywhere in all cities. I have been traveling around the country, and you can find family spaces for like very close to where you live, or even traveling around the country, you can find places for families. It's very common to see strollers in the city, just walking with parents. It's a family destination, I would say. So there's no one specific city to be in. I think all cities offer spaces, meaningful spaces for families.
That's great advice. That's great. All right, Nosy, what's your final advice?
I think for me, the biggest advice that I can share is that there's really a need to invest time into finding all the information that you need. Because I was looking also at some of the comments about how I'm supposed to do this. Am I eligible for this? Should I do this way? And you realize that when you really take your time to go through the information that is there on the website, and also the other resources that are available through, like, for example, Study in Sweden, we have the blogs that are on our website that have been shared by so many different scholars, tips for applications, how they did it, the challenges that they met, and a whole lot of other information from people who have been in the scholarship, some who applied maybe once, twice, their challenges, and all those different experiences. And I think that is valuable information. I know, because I think when I was applying, I got a bit obsessed with just trying to get as much information as I could. So I would watch the YouTube videos, I would read as much of the information that was available on the blogs as possible. And I think that gives you a very solid foundation on what is expected of you if you're applying to be part of the SI scholarship. So the thing is, you need to really invest time and read as much as you can, find as many official resources as possible, and don't take anything lightly. All the instructions, just try and get all the information so that even when you're sharing with your references, you know what you're expecting for them to give you as part of the references, how they're supposed to complete them, and also what they're supposed to focus on. So it's always good to try and exhaust as much of the information that is available to you as possible, because it can only help you strengthen your application. So use the website, use the Study in Sweden blogs, the YouTube content that is available, all that information. Even if you repeat it, it's still going to help you make an application very solid and strong. And all the best to the guys who will be applying this year.
That's a perfect way to round up. As you see, we will go back and we will be answering the questions in the comments. But we also encourage you, of course, to have a look on the official pages, si.se/scholarships, to really learn more and to follow the instructions that we provide. If you are not eligible for the SI scholarship, or if you would love to apply for other scholarships, Study in Sweden also has a scholarship database. So if you go into studyinSweden.se, you'll be able to find a scholarship database there, and it's scholarships provided by universities and other institutions in Sweden. So that's also a great option. But yeah, on Friday, the 10th of February, the application portal will open for this year. So we hope that we'll see many of you there applying and sending in your applications. And yeah, we'll hope to see many of you participating in this live as well, being welcome to Sweden with a big kickoff in September. That's fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for joining this live stream. Thank you to our scholarship holders who are here today to share their stories. It was lovely hearing about what the road has been like for you. And we will see each other on Facebook page as well, where they share updates continuously about applying for studies in Sweden, scholarships, and other types of important information for your study journey. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And we'll see each other online. Bye, everyone.
Bye.